Okay, so this is the adhesive I'm using. I'm using Loctite Power Grab. It's a all-purpose interior construction adhesive. And I think a lot of different ones can work, like liquid nails. I just like this one. From what I've read, it's got a low VOC, so I don't want to. I think if I remember correctly, liquid nails is really strong odor. So that's why I prefer to use Loctite. So what I'm going to be doing is putting on some gloves, because I don't want to get the stuff on my hands. So I'm not using these gloves. I'm going to be using these latex gloves instead. And also, I'm going to get all my clamps ready. So I got one set up over there, one on the opposite side. Those two I just pulled off. So I'm going to get my other clamps ready to go close by and try to set the width on those so that they're fairly close to the width of the two 2x6s together. So I've got a few different clamps here. I'm going to choose the ones that I think will fit the best. So here's one. This is a Harbor Freight clamp. I have 3 of those. So I'll set that on the wall here. I think the width on that, probably need to open it up just a little bit. So that's about right. That's ready to go. Set that there. So the one thing I want to keep in mind when I'm putting these clamps in is over here in the corner. I'll turn the camera a little bit so you can see. So over there in the corner, I want to make sure that the clamp is not too close to that corner, because if it's too close then I can't get my drill in there. So I just have to kind of plot this out really well. I'm probably going to clamp about right here, and then I'll just probably in between each one of these lines of screws, I'm going to put a clamp midpoint between those. So that's that. All set up there. Okay, so got this all ready to go. So I'm just going to put about a 1/4 inch bead of construction adhesive, kind of zigzag it all the way down. Try to keep everything as close by as I can here. Okay. There we go. All right. And with this Loctite, I have about 15 minutes of working time, so if I have to reposition things, I'm okay. And I'm trying to stay away from the top. I'm probably within about 1 inch, because I don't want it to ooze out and have it run on the top or the bottom of the joist. And so what I'm going to do now, let's go ahead and pop this into place. Make sure I got my notch. There's my notch there. I want that. Make sure that's resting on the concrete foundation there. So I'm starting with it about an inch away from the original joist. And then I'll position it, and then once I got it positioned, I'll go ahead and firm it up here. I'm going to go ahead and clamp this in first. And I'll go ahead and clamp this middle part. That looks good. Okay. Let me give you a little better shot of what I have going on here. Got clamps everywhere there. So this thing is rock solid. So when I start to attach the screws, I shouldn't have any issues with the joist jacking, meaning, you know, the screw going in through this one side and then pushing the other joist away. I should be fine with that. That should not be an issue. So I'm going to go ahead and start detaching the screws now. And I'm just going to use 3-inch, the same screws I've used to attach the blocking. I'm going to use the same 3-inch screws. I'll go ahead and start with the first few screws here. Okay, so far so good. Didn't move at all hardly. I have a little bit of trouble with access in this corner over here, so this drill is pretty big. Okay, so I went and got the screw gun because using the cordless drill driver, first of all, it was too big, second of all, it was taking too long. So I'll use a screw gun instead. So I'm down to the last three screws on the end here. Alright, so I got all the screws in. I'm going to go ahead and leave the clamps on for a little bit longer just to make sure that this is really set up and really nice and tight. So, pan you around so you can see. Got all 3 screws in, or all screws in along here. And so I'm just going to do continue with the same thing all the way down this bathroom, and this floor should be, I can already tell right now, just pushing down on this, you can hear the creak from these other ones. So, you hear that creak. On this one here, nothing. That's solid. This one here is a creak here too. So, that's really solid. And I'm going to go ahead and continue on with the rest of the joists. And it's going to be essentially the same procedure, except for these 2 joists here, this one here, and this one down here. I'm going to be sistering on the opposite side. And they're going to be full-length sisters, whereas the other one is not a full-length sister. That one over there that I just put in is not full-length. So these 2 will be full-length, this one and the one down here. And then the one below this camera, that's going to be my special project, and I'll talk a little bit later about how I'm going to attack that one. Thanks for watching, and I'll show an example of how I do the full-length sister, but it's essentially the same procedure, same process, but I'll go ahead and I'll show that also, and so you can get the idea of what I'm doing. Okay, so I've got both full-length sisters that I was planning on putting in here on these 2 joists. I got the one over there that's already done. It's not a full length, but it's almost the full length. It's just not resting on 2 load-bearing walls or foundation pieces. So I've got the beam right there, and with that beam I've got the 2 new sisters, this one right here and that one right there. Those new sisters are both resting on the foundation wall behind me and on the beam. So I'll pan you around so you can see the foundation wall. So I've got 4 inches worth of joist resting on the foundation wall. And then on this side I've got another 2 inches resting on the beam over here. So we're in really good shape there. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is attaching all this stuff. I've got both joists are notched out for the foundation wall and for the beam, and I just need to drill a few pilot holes and then add some construction adhesive and then clamp them together and sister them up. So that's essentially everything that's involved in doing these full-length sisters. It's really pretty easy. You just have to take your time, look for any obstacles. Like I had copper lines down here that I had to watch out for, because if you remember, the original joists are about 5 1/4 inches, and the new joist, the 2x6, is about 5 1/2 inches. So I had to make sure that I don't have it impacting the drain or the plumbing lines down there, and that looks okay. I've got about a 1/2 inch of clearance, so I'm in good shape. So that's pretty much it. The next thing is to work on, after I get those 2 joists in, is to work on this thing here, this what I call Frankenstein project here. This is just a mess, and I gotta pull all this stuff out. I want to get that rod out of there, and then just pull all this blocking out of here. That stuff's got to come out, and then I'm going to sister on both sides of that joist, or what's left of that joist. I'm going to sister on both sides of it,